I feel like the modern Filipino, well, at least like our parents, when it comes to tattoos, their attitude towards it is, oh, not under my house, right? Like, don't you can never get a tattoo. If you get a tattoo, we pretty much disown you. But not funny because it feels like the root of being Filipino. They were like a, I don't want to really say like warrior culture, but their tribes had tattoos, right? Like most of the indigenous people from the Philippines, the chiefs and the higher tribal members, they would have tattoos, and it was kind of like the more tattoos and certain tattoos you had, the higher rank you were in the tribe, right?
Yeah.
Where did that start? Is that the Igorots, or is it, what kind of Filipino people are that? If you know.
Prior to colonization, the Philippines was known. They were known as like the painted people. So tattoos were very, very prevalent prior to colonization. But eventually, it was taught to be like, oh, that's for the savages, and that's kind of where it started to be like not allowed and looked down upon. But yeah, tattooing was very prevalent, not just in Filipino culture prior to colonization, but in a lot of cultures. Tattooing and body modification has been a part of almost every single human civilization for hundreds and thousands of years. It wasn't until Western or European culture came in and was like, no, bad.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Ryback posted this picture that I'll never forget. It was, I think that some of the indigenous tribal people from the Philippines, they pulled out a mummy, and they mummified and they preserved this. I don't know if it was a chief, but they had the tattoos preserved still, which was fucking incredible. And I mean, for them to preserve the tattoos, the body for the tattoos, that's pretty significant, you know. It's like they don't do that with everything.
Yeah, that's insane.
So that mummy, his name is Apo. Apo. Oh my god.
I know.
Apo. Yeah, Apo Ano. Yeah. And he was. They actually, I forgot which country took the mummy from the Philippines, but it wasn't until recent history that they returned the mummy to the Igorots. Yeah. But Filipinos had very efficient methods of preserving bodies, and actually up in the mountains, the burial ritual. Mm-hmm. When somebody dies, you have them sit on the dead body is like sitting on the front porch for people to view for like a couple days after they're dead.
Oh. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes they would put like the skulls of the heads that they cut off, they put it over their doorway.
I don't know much about. I'm Filipino and I'm proud to be Filipino, but I don't really know much about the culture pre like Spanish colonization.
Me neither, buddy.
Do you guys like? I would like a bit about.
No, I wish I knew more.
Yeah.
Lapu Lapu killed Magellan. Fuck that guy.
Jose Rizal, right?
So no,
really.
We had our indigenous warriors that obviously everyone knows by Lapu Lapu, and they were pretty much trying to stop the colonization from Spain. And obviously Magellan came through, and Lapu Lapu killed him. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of where our Spanish roots came from, and the whole colonization began. But before that, we were just indigenous tribes just trying to make our own way. I mean, that's why a lot of people like to say Filipinos, or like Filipinos like to identify as Pacific Islanders, but really it's not Pacific. We're not Pacific Islander. We're
bro.
Asian. Shut up.
We're a mixture of so many different things. It's crazy.
I mean, I think it's all Asian, if you really want to put it. I mean, look, you got Cambodia and Malaysia like right below us, so why aren't they Pacific Islander?
What do you guys write on your standardized test then?
I just put Pacific Islander, bro.
That's Asian. I just put Asian.
Just look at all of us, right? We're all Filipino and we all look different.
This is true. Yeah.
You know,
we're a mixture of Asia.
Yeah. And that's just a testament to the diversity of the Filipino people, because so many different cultures came through there, and
damn
us,
colonization.
basically.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's actually, like you were saying, we're Filipino Americans, and yet I think a lot of us have we're not aware of the Filipino history prior to colonization, or even sometimes after, because we don't learn about it in American school systems. I had to really go out of my way to learn about Filipino history.
Yeah, well, if you listen you listen like American history, it's always like we saved them.
Oh yeah,
I didn't save the Philippines.
Dude, I did not know that America and the Philippines went to war until I was older, and it blew my mind. I was like, "What? I didn't learn about that."
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but then like I said, you got the United States version of the history saying like, well, we protect them and we
They were
save them.
savages with tattoos, worshiping crazy gods.
We were actually we were actually a territory of the United States, just like initially Hawaii was, right? So Pearl Harbor, Hawaii was not the only place that was bombed during Pearl Harbor. The Philippines was also bombed. And if you look at the speech that the president was going to give at the time, they were going to mention that Manila was bombed as well. But he crossed it out because he thought that the American people wouldn't give a shit about it.
Damn, that's fucked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, they probably wouldn't have.
No, honestly,
No,
they
wouldn't have.
because there was so many like negative sentiment already towards Japanese people, so they didn't give a fuck about Asians at that point. It was just like
No.
Yeah.
America.
And they would have just like the Native Americans, right? They were paraded around in like the way back in the day. They were paraded around in these traveling zoos, right?
Right.
The Filipino children were there too.
Oh.
Filipino children, Filipino people were displayed in these traveling zoos.
I think I saw a picture of that one time. Yeah, there is like some colonizers just
Yeah, I've seen a traveling zoo
viewing them, and like they were
oh,
just like in a fence or something, right?
Yeah, I didn't know they involved Filipinos. I think they try to just involve anyone who looks like you're brown. You get in there.
You
Very
fucking
exotic.
savage.
Dude, I'm American.
I was born here.
My name is Andrew. I live
Well,
in
that
California.
That does bring up like an interesting point. I heard like in a different, I don't know, like a podcast once about, like in South America, there was a presence of like Africans, and the Native Americans and people from Africa were, having kids and shit, and so that's why a lot of times you see people from South America, like indigenously, sometimes they look like African, and then in the Philippines you have like the negritos, they call, that's what they call them, right?
The Aitas.
Who, they look like the, okay. Yeah. And, they have a lot of the
Pat,
same.
relax. Dropping N-bombs on the podcast, dog. What the fuck? Relax.
Literally directly translate to little black people.
Yeah, well.
There goes our podcast.
Yeah, but it's just a trip, dude. Like, it's just crazy. So many, like, so far apart, and so many, like, similarities.
Yeah. There's a lot of African roots and a lot of cultures, and I think people don't realize that. And I think that scares a lot of white people because they're like, "What about me? Do I have that?"
Right.
There's
Makes me
always
think of Pangea.
Gosh, there's always the "what about me? What about us?"
Yeah.
God, it's so frustrating.
No, but I mean, to any white listeners here, I don't think all of y'all are bad.
No, you're not all bad.
Yeah, you're not.
Some
all
of you
bad.
are cool.
Yeah, a lot of you are cool, but also a lot of you are bad.
Yeah.
Some say humanity started in Africa. That's why everyone has some sort of African in them. But speaking of like not to single out white people, some say white people were like the higher beings, like the aliens, That's why they look different. Because I mean, naturally, being humans in a planet where you're directly exposed to sun, like naturally you would adapt to be able to, have melanin, right? Some sort of melanin.
Whatever.
Which goes to my point. I feel like the it's crazy because it's looked down upon as far as the Filipino culture to like the more dark skinned you are, right? The more lower class you are. But I think now that we're talking about it, putting it together, that's probably like post colonization thinking to try to get rid of. Because I mean, if you think about it, indigenously, Filipinos were naturally like darker, right? Dark skin.
That's literally, if it ain't white, it ain't right.
Yeah,
that's not what they show on TFC.
Absolutely, a part of a result of colonism is colorism, and that's in most places that were colonized. Most of those cultures.
Yeah, like I got a cousin who walks around with an umbrella when it's sunny. I'm like, why are you walking around with an umbrella? He's like, it ain't raining out here.
Be you.
He's like, exactly. Definitely. He's like, I don't want to get dark like you. I was like, shut the fuck up.
No,
I football outside at the beach. He's trying to run in the shade. I was like, that's out of bounds.
You don't see that rain cloud right there? It's like one over there.
I've had family members tell me like, "Oh my God, you're getting too dark. Like you're gonna look like a maid." Like that's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
What's wrong with the maid, man?
What?
That's what you call crap.